Hey everybody, Jordan Belfort again, and welcome back to the final module of the Straight Line Persuasion Fast Track system here. And this truly is the most elegant, most effective way to close sales, to share your vision for the future, to get people essentially to buy into your concepts, your ideas, so you can become a person of power, a person of influence, and just really become successful and make more money. Now, I'm sure you've enjoyed the system so far, these first 3 modules here, and you've learned a ton. And I'm sure you've started to implement some already, and you're seeing some results now. But in this 4th and final module, now we're going to get really specific and practical. We're going to get to sort of the meat and potatoes, the heart of what makes the straight line system so effective. And those really are the closing patterns, the things that allow you essentially to take someone down the straight line from a place of uncertainty or relative uncertainty and make them absolutely certain that what you have suits their needs, resolves their pain, fits into their belief systems, and all the rest of that stuff, essentially, that we've got out in the qualifying section. Now, for starters, remember in the beginning when I talked about the straight line system, and I told you that it started with this one magical night when I got in front of my brokers and I said, guys, don't you get it? Every sale is the same. Every sale, every negotiation, every situation of influence, they're all the same. And when I said that to you, you probably said, I don't know, Jordan, every sale really can't be the same. And, they're all people of different ideas, different concepts, different belief systems, different objections. How could every sale be the same? Well, what I'm saying is this. It starts with those 5 core elements of influence that must line up. Those are always the same in every single sale and situation of influence. But what also makes it the same is this idea that with the straight line system, we have a syntax. We have a certain order in which we create certainty. We always start the same way. We take control of the sale the same way. We get into rapport the same way. Now, they might be saying different things to you, but we have things in a certain pattern. There's chunks of information. There's beginnings. There's endpoints. And as we move someone down the straight line, we don't do it willy-nilly where every single one is different. We do it with a methodology where it's the same way every single time. And what that does to you as the influencer, as the salesperson, is it puts you in this spot of really where you have absolute comfort and confidence in yourself because you're in control. You know where you're going before you get there. It's not like every single time it's like, geez, where am I going now? What are they going to say? What am I going to say? You know what's going to happen because you're in control and you're moving them down the straight line from the open to the close and doing it in the same way every single time. So that's what this module is really all about. And when I first invented the system back in 1988, what would happen is every day, about for an hour in the morning and an hour and a half in the afternoon, I was standing in front of the room and the system was almost coming out of me as I was channeling it from a higher power. And they would tape me, it would be transcribed and added to a manual, which ultimately became the blueprint for the straight line system. And what was happening is the system very quickly had the ability to take an average salesperson and make them great, have a great salesperson and take them to the point where they were awesome, and take the top salespeople in the company and make them literally the top 1% of closers in the world. And just so you understand here, when it comes to closing and selling, you might be an effective salesperson for, let's say, you're selling TV sets. But when it comes to actually selling the warranty, you can't get that done. And very often it's the warranty where the money is. Or you might be someone that's in real estate, and you can get the listing, but yet when it comes time to get them to commit $5,000 or $10,000 for an advertising budget, you can't close that sale. So very often with the straight line system, it's not just about the core sale that you're in, it's about the things that are attached to your sale. So what the system basically can do is take a good sale and turn it into a great sale. Take a good customer and turn them into a great customer. And the result of that is it will not only elevate you as a salesperson, but when it's done company-wide, it elevates an entire sales force. So before we move on to the 4th and final module, let's just do a quick recap of what we learned so far. In the first module, we started with those 3 things that you must line up in those first few seconds, right? Sharp as a tack, enthusiastic as hell, and expert in your field, right? Those things that you must establish in those first 4 seconds or the prospect basically tunes out. We went through the 3 basic tenets of straight line persuasion, that you must control the sale. And by the way, being perceived as an expert is what allows you to control the sale, right? And enthusiasm and being perceived as sharp, someone that's worth listening to, it allows you to control the sale, which then allows you to essentially get into rapport on both a conscious and an unconscious level. And then because of that rapport, it allows us to gather intelligence. Then we spoke about the 5 core elements of straight line persuasion, which were the 3 10s, right? Number 1, love your product. 2, trust and connect with you. 3, trust and connect with your company. Then we had number 4, which was the action threshold, right? You must lower the action threshold so their level of certainty exceeds the action threshold. And number 5, you have the pain threshold, which is that people in pain tend to make decisions more quickly and more profoundly than people who are feeling comfortable and not feeling pain. And remember, there's people who are out there, they're in denial and they become numb to their own pain. So it's actually an ethical thing to do as someone who's in denial of their pain to essentially ratchet up that pain a bit so they're aware of what the stakes truly are, and it helps them make the right decision. After that, we moved on to talk about the inner game of success. What happens up here, those 4 things that essentially must line up in the inner game, your ability to manage your emotional state. We had those disempowering states like overwhelm, fear, jealousy, hatred, lack of compassion. Then we have the empowering state, trust, certainty, the C's, clarity, conviction, courage. Those states allow you to be the best you can be. Then we talked about our belief systems, our empowering beliefs, and then knocking out those disempowering beliefs. We spoke about our ability to create a vision for the future and to learn to focus, to train ourselves, essentially to focus on where we want to go versus the things we're afraid of. And then lastly, our standards, to raise our standards, to make sure that our musts in life empower us, that we don't have essentially weak musts. So we have a lot of shoulds. I should do this, I should do that, and you're basically shooting all over yourself, right? So we want to raise our standards, we want to knock out the disempowering beliefs, focus on that vision that inspires us, and learn to manage our emotional state, the inner game of success. And then now we move on to this last module here. We talk about the closing side of the straight line. How do you make a presentation that essentially just knocks someone's socks off, gets them invested in your ideas, your products? It starts moving them to a level of certainty, moves them both logically and emotionally, because you have to have both. How do we do that in a way that is, elegant, doesn't seem like it's clunky, and allows us to be the best we can be every single time? Now, one of the things I'll tell you flat out is in the straight line system, we use scripts. And some people say, oh, I have a negative anchor to scripts. I don't know, I'll sound wooden. Let me just tell you right out, flat out. Number 1, the art of straight line script writing and script using is learning how to use a script without sounding like you're using a script. And again, if you're in person, you're not holding the script up in home, Mr. Jones. That's ridiculous, right? What I'm talking about here is having certain language patterns, chunks of information memorized in your head that you can pull from, you can draw on when you're making your presentation. What a script really is, it represents the best version of any particular aspect of the sale. So imagine you've sold your product 50, 100 times, and there's always one time you say, wow, that was the time I sounded the best. Well, that's what your script really is. It represents the best aspect, the best you can be in every part of the sale, rolled up into one cohesive presentation. And when you go through this with the ebook and the videos, you'll see really how, when I talk about scripts, we're not talking about like, well, you're whole, Mr. Jones. It's not like that at all. It's about being elegant. It's about being effective. It's about not front-loading, meaning we just go on and on with features and, to the point where your prospect tunes out. When we talk about straight-line script writing, it is really powerful stuff that sets you up for massive success. After that, we're going to move on to this thing I call looping. And this, I always say, is the secret sauce to the straight line system. This is what allows you essentially to take someone who's on the fence. Now, again, this is not someone who's saying no. No typically means no. People don't typically say no to your product. They usually say, let me think about it. Let me call you back. Let me speak to my wife. It's a bad time of year. It's Groundhog's Day. It's President's Day. It's tax time. I'm getting mad. There's always an excuse, right? It's the tooth fairy, Santa Claus. The point is that typically in a sale, when you ask for the order for the first time, people don't just say, yeah, let's do it. They typically want to think about it or mull it over. They give you one of those stalls. What we do with this process of looping is we learn how to take that stall, essentially, and deflect it, build more certainty, and then move them down the straight line even further and ask for the order again in a way that's not pressured, but it's elegant, it empowers the client, and allows you to close at the highest level. And once you're done with this section on looping, you'll truly understand the power of the next level up here, which is straight line mastery, the 10 module training. We go through every single language pattern and looping pattern and objection. And I get you to this level, really, with the straight line system, where you truly can close anyone who's closable. And again, it's not like I'm holding back from you right now here, because I want you to buy some other course. It's not that. This is an introduction. This is a framing course here that's going to allow you to become incredibly effective at sales and influence. What I'm saying is this. There's another level up from here, and it's about mastery. It's about becoming the best that you can be and truly getting to this point with not just, selling a product, but in your life, where you're a person of power, when you can sell your vision for the future to anybody, to a group of people, you know how to tell stories the right way, how to raise money for venture capital, all these sort of things that selling and influence and persuasion is all about. So again, when you go through this module right now, I want you to really focus in on this looping section, and I want you to understand at the highest level, when you truly achieve straight line mastery, the world is your oyster. People say to me, Jordan, what's your secret weapon? How do you always come back from failure? And how do you now achieve these levels of success that they seem so extraordinary? And I always say that if I was a superhero, persuasion would be my superpower. And I really believe that's what persuasion is. That's what sales is. It's a superpower. It's the ability to essentially set yourself aside from the rest of the pack, to be extraordinary, to not just live an average life, but to live an amazing life. I always refer to this scene from Jerry Maguire where they talk about the Quan. Remember this theme, the Quan? He says, it's the best of everything. It's the money, the respect, the passion, the connection, the love. That's what life's all about at the highest level, getting your Quan. And the straight line system, this ability to essentially to influence, to persuade, to be a person of power, that's what it's all about. It's not just about money. It's about achieving success at the highest level. Now, here's what I have for you in the final session. We have two separate chunks of information here in the ebook. The first are your general strategies now, things I've talked about already in this last couple of minutes here. And the second section are your actual closing patterns, the things that allow you to actually to turn these objections into closes. Now, in the video, I've created these vignettes for you. These are all sort of the best of the best, where you see me going through certain aspects of looping and this final module of the system here, and you'll get to see me in action live at my very best. And one of the things I want to talk about before we finish up here is this thing I call a good enough factor. The straight line system is such that you don't have to be an expert at it to get results. You'll get results straight away. Even a little bit of straight line, not mastery, but straight line, being okay at it, you're going to get some pretty damn good results. And then when you actually get to that next level up, where you start to become a master of the straight line, you'll literally blow the doors off of it. So again, it's been a pleasure, really a privilege to be able to share this introductory course with you. I want you to go at it. I want you to read this last module of the ebook. I want you to watch the video. I want you to internalize this. And again, I invite you to really move on to the next level here, which is straight line mastery. This 10 module course where I go through literally every single aspect of the straight line, from the script building patterns to the closing patterns to the looping patterns, and everything in between. So I want you to enjoy this last module. I want you to implement. Remember, you have that good enough factor, so there's no excuse not to start succeeding right now. And I look forward to working with you again in the future real soon. Take care.